Hello everybody, this is Shane R. Monroe with Nvidia Shield Zone. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Shield Android TV over-the-air update 3.2. 3.2 brings a lot of under-the-hood fixes, updates, and changes, mostly having to do with video playback and audio playback. However, there are some big features that the power users are going to want to look at right away. One being Samba, or file sharing support, as well as the new Plex Media Server. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is enable Samba, or file sharing support, within the Shield Android TV. Go to Settings, Device, and Storage and Reset. You'll have to allow, of course, some access. And here is the thing we're looking for: access Shield folders on PC. Now, before, you would have to use something like an FTP server or something else of that nature to transfer files to and from your Shield. Or you could use a USB cable or something like that, but that's very inconvenient. Being able to use Windows file sharing or network file sharing via Samba allows us to access this device from any other device on our local network. So let's go ahead and turn that on. Alright, so what we have here is a username and a password and an IP address you're going to use to access your file share. Now, you're probably wondering, how can I change my password? You can't. All you can do is change it to something else, but you can't set your own. It comes up with a 3-word pseudo password. I spoke with the boys over at Nvidia, and they said they're looking at making this changeable. I'm guessing that some clever people with root access will figure out how to let us change this password to whatever we want. But for now, we're stuck with the default. If you go to a Windows computer and you open up your favorite file explorer, such as Directory Opus or even Windows Explorer, and type in //192.168.1.28, or whatever your address is, and you'll be prompted for a username and password. Providing that will give you direct access to all the devices on your Shield Android TV. Very cool. We'll look at that more later. Now that we've set that up, we want to go ahead and get Plex Media Server sending out all of our great television to our other devices in our home and even on the go. We'll show you how to do it. But first, we need to attach some network storage. Now, if you're going to use your internal memory, say you have a Shield Android TV Pro, the 500 gigabyte version, you may be storing all of your media locally. Or you may use a locally connected USB drive, micro SD card. If you're using something local on the machine, you won't need this. But believe me, those of you with large collections of media, especially stored on other devices on your network, such as a network attached storage solution, a NAS, another PC with shared folders on them, this is how you're going to get to them. So we go to network storage, and it will show you, look at this, our Shield actually appeared as available network storage. I wonder if that would put it into a loop. Well, for the sake of argument, we're going to use my server box. Now, it'll show you other ones too. You could say see all, and it'll show you all of the boxes it was able to find. Now, if your Windows PC is not available, you'll need to set up file sharing on your PC. We're going to cover that in another tutorial, and we're going to give you some information on how to help you get Windows 7, which many times will not show up as a Samba file share. We're going to show you how to set that up too. But first things first, let's get our server box set up. And since you probably are using some sort of credentials to get to your box, we're going to go ahead and assume you're going to sign in using credentials like a username and password. So we'll go ahead and sign in. I didn't attach a keyboard here, so you're going to have to put up with this. Once you've connected successfully using your login name and password, you are now connected, and we can verify. We'll go back, and it says network storage 1 mounted. And if you ever want to disconnect that, you can go right back in here, Go into your server box. It'll show you all the file shares that are available and give you the option to disconnect. Right? This is pretty much what we wanted. Perfect. Now I have access to a hard drive that's sitting inside of a PC on another location on my local network. This is where I'm going to pluck my media from for Plex Media Server. So let's get Plex Media Server set up. Now, we're going to assume you already have a Plex TV account. If you don't, go to plex.tv, register, get an account, have it all set up and ready, because you're going to want to do that before you set up your Plex Media Server. I have already signed in on my computer right now next to me, so I am all ready to go. Going into Plex, it'll let you know what Plex does. It organizes your video, puts it into a nice clean format for you to access your media, not only on the Shield TV, but also on other devices out on your network and outside on the internet if you so desire. So we're going to go ahead and hit sign in. And on my computer, I'm going to go ahead and go to that link, and I'm going to enter those four values I see on my screen. Once I do that on my web browser on my computer, which does not, by the way, have to be hooked up to your local area network, it just has to be on the internet, and boom, it says you have a Plex Media Server on this device. And since that's what we're trying to do, we're going to go ahead and leave this checked. Otherwise, if you uncheck this, it will simply set it up as a Plex app. That would be what you would do if you already have a Plex server somewhere on your network already, or you're using somebody else's access. But this is a new feature specifically for 3.2, so we want to set up our own media server. Now, if you are using local file share or a local connected device, your local storage of any kind, you're going to want to go ahead and create default libraries that you'll copy your media into. Because we're already using a network attached device, we don't need default directories or libraries. I've already got them set up. So we're going to say no. And next. Okay, if we had chosen to make those files, we would have to be granting some permissions. But we don't, because we didn't ask it to create anything for us. So that's kind of a little glitch in the wizard. I told them about it. All right, so now we're ready to set up the server. We hit next, and it does all the magic behind there, setting up your Shield TV to be its own Plex TV server. Now, Plex will give you access to all of your media in a beautiful interface. I'm talking about movies, TV shows, your home videos, your home photos, all of the media that you throw at Plex. It will try to bring in, create beautiful artwork for you all automatically without you having to lift a finger. And we're going to show you that whole process from start to finish here in just a moment once we get this Plex Media Server set up. There we go. It is now configured. So the Shield is now an actual Plex server. It's fantastic. With the power of the Shield Android GPU and the speed of the device, we're not going to have any trouble serving 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 different connections at one time, both inside the house and outside the house. All right, so let's go ahead and hit finish. It's going to send us to the Plex app. And it's not much to see, right? You get to see your server, you get to see your account, and some settings. Let's go take a look at what's inside of settings. In general, you can change your Shield device name, which I would recommend doing because that's kind of bland. I'm going to call this my Plex 16 gigabyte. And that's because I have a 500 gigabyte on the network as well, and I may set up Plex on that. All right, so you have the choice to play theme music while you're looking at different TV shows, whether you want to see cinema trailers at the beginning of your shows, all sorts of basic standard stuff. If you want to sign in automatically, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, I do want to sign in automatically. I don't want to sign out right now. Make sure your local quality here is set to original. You don't want it to transcode down your video to any of these. You should see original set by default, but if you don't, make sure that it is set. Here you can set what your remote quality defaults to. Now, when you're remote viewing your Plex media, you'll be able to manually select the quality based on your bandwidth, but Plex tries to do it for you. Whether you want subtitles shown during your playback, the size, whether you want to boost the audio, all sorts of good stuff. This stuff you probably don't really need to monkey with unless you ever want to turn off your Plex Media Server, and you can just tap that guy and it'll shut it off. And network logging. You may want to turn this on if you're accessing Plex's tech support. They may ask you to turn on network logging. So you may want to do that. For now, it's off. And some licensing stuff. All right. Well, again, this does not look very impressive. In fact, it doesn't look impressive at all because we have no media. So what we need to do now is set up our media. Now, Plex is not administered here on your Shield Android TV. It's done in your web browser. Believe me, that's where you want to do it. And we're going to take you through the whole thing, and then we're going to return back here and see how Plex has been updated based on what we've done on our PC. So we're going to go ahead and stop the video now. We're going to move over to the PC and show you how to set up your Plex server. We've already set up the network share. We have media sitting on a network-connected drive across my network on another computer. So we are pretty much set to build our Plex masterpiece. Let's switch over to the PC. Hello everybody and welcome back. We're now on the PC where we've logged in using Chrome to Plex.tv. As you can see, I'm logged in as my username of DarkUni, and I can go ahead and launch. Alright, you can choose your default user. It'll probably not prompt you for this. You probably don't have a bunch of users. And I'm going to change from my existing Plex box to my Plex 16 gigabyte. Alright, they're going to make you read some terms and conditions, blah, 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 non-commercial, no benefits, blah, blah, blah. Go to server setup. Here we go. Great, it found the server. Now, at this point, you could change the name if you didn't change it earlier, or you'd like to change it to something else. And here you have a checkbox which will allow you to turn on media outside your home. If you do this, Plex will try to reach out to your router and open the appropriate ports and set up what's necessary for you to enjoy Plex outside of your network. Now, for those of you who are a little freaked out about that, it's pretty much on the up and up. I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you're interested in doing Plex from the outside, you can turn this on at any given time inside of the Plex settings. We're going to go ahead and leave that turned on and choose next. All right, we're now ready to organize our media. So what we want to do now is add a library. Now here's the cool part. I'm inside my browser, but it's reaching over to my Plex TV server to find out what folders are available. Now remember, we shared a network attached device. So we're going to go ahead and add some movies. And we're going to call this old movies because that's what we're going to be adding. And let's see, so we choose the proper type. Now you want to choose the right type of library because that's how Plex is going to go onto the internet and try to fetch cover art and other information. So for movies, you choose movies, TV shows, music, photos. Home videos are for things that you don't want Plex to go out and search for. These would be home movies or documentaries, cartoons, music videos, things of that nature won't show up under one of these other categories anyway, and all it will do is confuse Plex. So just go ahead and use home videos for any videos that are of a personal nature that wouldn't necessarily resolve to something on the outside. Alright, now we're ready to add folders. Now, this is a glitch, this null. This is something that the Plex folks know about. This is actually your internal storage here. Which we don't want to use. This is your SD card, obviously. That's if you had one plugged into your Plex, your now Plex Media Server, your Shield Android TV. And of course, the server box that we added. Now, these should look very familiar to you because, well, they are. We're going to go ahead and go to my F drive, go to my rips of my movies, and go to old movies. Now, I've got these sorted by file and folder, just because I like to keep a neat, tidy ship. Plex doesn't care about your folder structure. We're going to go ahead and select this top-level folder. All right, so it's going to get anything inside of and below old movies. So if you have folders like A, B, C, D, it'll pick them all up. Now, you could add more, right? If I wanted to add more from, say, another drive, I could easily go to my E drive, and I also have old movies here. I have a lot of movies. All right, that's good. So we've got two different folders that are going to be providing us with, quote, old movies. If we look under Advanced, We can say, do you want them in your dashboard? Well, absolutely. Do you want cinema trailers to play before items in this library? No, thank you. Would you like to enable video preview thumbnails? Well, most people would like that. This will add some extra time, but that's okay when it scans. Go ahead and leave the rest of it defaulted. You probably shouldn't need to monkey with any of this stuff. If you are a Plex Pass user, it should automatically check this for you. You could also elect to use red band trailers, which I like to have on. Red band means they're R-rated trailers for R-rated movies. If you're worried about family members or something, you can leave that off, and it'll only show you all audience trailers. Include extras with subtitles in library language, sort of up to you. Leave everything else defaulted, and we're ready to go. As you can see, Plex already went to work. Now, if you could look over at my Plex server, my external storage device is going mad, and as you can see, it's already starting to do stuff. Let's go ahead and hit next. Now, here's the time when you can elect to opt out of sending anonymous data usage to Plex. I don't mind sending anonymous usage data. I think it helps everybody out. I've got the bandwidth for it, so I'm okay. All right, as you can see in the background, Plex is going nuts, adding all of these movies to your collection. They're going out, fetching metadata from the internet. They're getting descriptions. They're getting actors. They're getting database stuff. So this thing is going completely crazy. Over here, you have your playlists, which we could talk about, but playlists are pretty obvious. And you can see right now that Old Movies is sitting here spinning like crazy, getting all of those movies for us. So while this thing is indexing our movies, let's take a little tour of what other things you might be interested in inside of the Plex application here on your web browser. Obviously, home takes you back to this dashboard, if you will. Status will show you some of the things it's doing. It'll show you the log. It's downloading all this good stuff. If you're doing syncs or conversions, or you're just curious about what's being played, this little icon up here will also take you to status. And you can see what's currently being played on your server. That way, if you want to see what little Johnny is watching in the den, you could actually do so. Over here, you'll find your settings for Plex. Most of this stuff you're probably not going to need to worry about. I like to do things like play theme music, which is weird because I thought we selected that before. Let's see, show unwatched icons. Sure, we'll leave that. Enable keyboard shortcuts. Don't need that. Fall back to insecure connections. And you can sit here and dig through all this stuff. Most of this stuff we looked at before. Here's all of your server information. Again, this is where you could opt in or out of going to sending anonymous usage to Plex. You can enable server debugging, like verbose debugging. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on because the Plex guys asked me to while I was recording this. And we'll save the changes. That'll probably slow things down just a tad while it does verbose logging, but that's okay. Automatically check for updates. You'll probably want to leave that. You can also go in and see all sorts of other settings. For the sake of argument, you can dig through these on your own. But you shouldn't have to change anything to start enjoying Plex right away. Users will show you the people that are allowed to your libraries. Now, these are friends, family members that I have allowed access to my devices. These are all the different devices that have accessed my Plex server, when, where they came from, IP addresses, pretty much everything you need to know about who might be in there. And you can see who's been accessing it through Android, iOS, the web, via the web server, the server itself, all sorts of good stuff. All right, and if all these things just scare the living crap out of you, you can actually hide the advanced settings, and a lot of stuff goes away. You're so advanced, you'll get a whole bunch of different options. You'll also notice that this is always here to show you that you've allowed remote access. If for some reason you've decided that you don't want to allow remote access, you can go ahead and disable it here. If for some reason you cannot get remote access automatically, you may have to do some manual configuration here. That's going to be outside the scope of this discussion. Let's go back to the dashboard and see how we're doing. We're going to jump into the old movies area, where we're going to see things in a little more tiled format, which looks great. As you can see, we've got some information filled in and other stuff still going. This little icon up here will allow you to cancel the update if for some reason you want to do it later, you want to start it after you go to bed. If for some reason this update is interfering your enjoyment of Plex or your Shield Android TV, you could stop it here. Now you'll notice I got to show you this stuff because a lot of people don't realize just how many options that Plex gives you. For example, you can change your view into details, which gives you a lot more detail while showing you just a few less movies. You can also go into a list mode, so if you already know what you want, you could probably find it a lot easier with a list instead of having to go through the big cover flow type posters. On the side, you can quickly jump to a letter. A lot of people don't seem to realize that for some reason. And you can also do all sorts of cool filtering here. A lot of people don't realize you can do this. You can look at unwatched, duplicates. You can select a show by year, by decade, actors, everything else you can possibly imagine. All of that information is gathered automatically for you on the internet. You're not having to provide any of this information. I have done nothing to preload this data. Plex is doing it all. You can sort by rating, right? So you see like R-rated stuff at the top, and it moves down to a little more kid-friendly stuff. You can also do it by the date you added it to Plex. If you added something new and you can't find it, maybe that'll help you. Now, of course, one of the big draws to Plex is its search capabilities. Now, right now, we're still in the process of bringing all this stuff in, so the search is going to be a little slow and maybe not show us as much information as we had hoped. Somewhere in my collection, I guarantee you that I have an actor by the name of Arnold, right? That's going to search all sorts of stuff. It's going to search titles. It's going to search actors, directors, and it even lets you see this neatly sorted like this. This is fantastic. You want to jump to Raw Deal, just click it, and in you go to Raw Deal. Now, you'll notice that Plex has generated some extras for me because I am a Plex Pass member. I highly recommend. I know it's expensive, all right? I've done this pitch before on my radio show. It's expensive, but Plex is worth it. If you're using it enough, buy the Plex Pass. You get all sorts of cool stuff. Older movies don't tend to have a lot of extras. Newer movies, however, it goes out and finds all sorts of great stuff, trailers, behind-the-scenes stuff, B-roll, bloopers, etc., etc. But again, you're not going to find a lot of that in the older movies. All right, so let's jump back into older movies. I'm going to do a lot of repeat moving around the interface just so you can see how I'm getting around. Of course, there's different, easier ways to get around. All right, so this is still processing. You can see it's doing pretty well. I mean, if you have a moderate PC, a moderately capable PC, and you set up a Plex server, you're going to see basically this performance. So the Plex Android TV is really working out very well for this. Now, there's going to be times, I'm going to show you some great little tricks of the trade here. Having ran a Plex server for quite some time, there are going to be times when Plex just doesn't quite get your media serving right. So you're going to see things, especially things that you rip yourself, you don't name properly, like, say, Cat's Eye here. You'll notice that there is no box here for this guy, and it looks like some sort of a ripped file name. It's because I did indeed rip it myself, and I didn't rename it when I was done. You'll see other situations where maybe you don't like the cover art. Maybe you get no cover art. Maybe you simply get, let's see. I think I saw in the ends, Never Sleep Again, the documentary. And as you can see here, it must not know what this is, which is amazing because it knows what New Kids is, but it doesn't know what Never Sleep Again, the documentary, is. So how do we go about changing that? Well, you probably already figured out there is this handy little pencil. Hitting that pencil will give you access to the metadata that's currently in the database. Now, this is interesting. It understands it's a documentary, but there's... Oh, well, see, it does understand that there's a poster. Maybe it just didn't get around to it. We'll go ahead and add that poster, and we'll save. Great. Let's go back in again, and let's remove these ripping things, this Never Sleep Again D1, D2, etc., etc. All right, great. And you'll notice that there's a title and a sort title. So if you want this to actually, you could actually say the title is Never Sleep. Oh, that was interesting. I wonder why that didn't stick. All right. So you could actually say, because you want to see this by the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you could just put Nightmare under sort title. right? Now that's going to jump from the N's to the M's eventually, once we go back in and refresh the screen. So there's all sorts of handy little tricks you can do. So let's look at something else that's incorrectly tagged or isn't quite getting what it needs from Plex. As you can see, more and more stuff is coming here. Now, I know this Behind the Mask is not the right movie. This is the great indie flick Behind the Mask, The Legend of Leslie Vernon. If you don't know what it is, I understand. So let's jump in here. Now, see, this has been incorrectly identified. It's been identified, just incorrectly. Now, you'll notice we could go in and make some changes. This is definitely not the movie we're looking for. If you go into the movie itself, you'll have the ability under these three dots to fix an incorrect match or simply unmatch it completely. So let's unmatch it, and it will show you more about the native file that was there. Here, check this out. Again, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff in the background, so you have to forgive it. It's the speed is definitely not really an issue with the box, but it's very, very busy. I know I said unmatch. Refresh. All right, so we're going to go ahead and fix the incorrect match. Now, it obviously came up with this, which is wrong. So let's go to our search options. Behind the Mask. Can't type. The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And we're going to go ahead and take that year off because I don't know if that's the right year. Let's search again. Ah, there we go. Now we've got a proper match. Let's go ahead and let it update its metadata. And hopefully we should see a whole new thing. It's very, very busy in the background, you know. Let's do this for the sake of argument. Let's go ahead and go into old movies and cancel the update. Now, let's look at Behind the Mask again. Yeah. There we go. It's still fetching the stuff. See, it picks up and starts processing again. Let's do a refresh here. Yeah, single threading it looks like for that, huh? All right. So we have the right match, but it just hasn't pulled up the data yet. See, it's no longer searching for new movies, but it's still processing ones that are in its queue. There we go. Got to jump in the queue and let it finish up. Once you establish your initial database, this sort of thing does not take as long as it's showing right now. But this initial search is quite a few movies. In fact, how many movies do we have in here? We have a total of 411 movies in here, so obviously it's pretty busy. So it's going to continue processing. Come on, let me have my update. Busy, busy, busy. All right, in the meantime, let's show you a couple of other neat things. You can actually change the size here. You can actually scroll through. Some of these have probably already picked up. These are all recently added. As you start watching things, they'll start showing up down here, showing you things that you've already watched, things that have been recently added. As you can see, it's processing through. I already know it's not going to do a hit on this one because I had the same problem earlier. But you can see them processing down here, though. Now, I personally am very particular about my cover art. The art that I want is what I remember growing up with, especially when it comes to old movies. So let's find one that offends me personally. Let's see here. That's doing a pretty good job so far. Okay, I don't like this cover for Carrie. I like the creepy yellow-backed original one. So I can jump in here, edit, go to poster. And as you can see, it tried to find a whole bunch of different Carries for me. I'm kind of a big fan of this sort of original look, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this guy. There we go. That's much better. You'll notice I have a couple of other mismatched items in here. So let's see what we can do with this cat's eye. Now see, again, this is interesting. It understands what the movie is. It even pulled the right extras, but it didn't fix the name. Sometimes it figures that you know what you're doing. So let me go back in here. All we have to do here is fix the text. And we're good. Save. All right, perfect. Now let's get rid of that no poster having thing. I bet they've already got a poster loaded for us, and they do. I like the original goblin coming out of the wall cat's eyes, so we're going to use that. Perfect. Now we're in good shape. All right, let's go back to old movies. It's still processing. It's still going at it. How did our behind the mask end up turning out? Let me take a peek here. Well, it's still processing. So let me see here. Can I choose a poster? It hasn't got there yet. Or it may just not recognize this movie proper, but I think it does. It just puts it in the queue. So what would happen if we went here and hit the pencil? Poster? Nope. Well, this might be a good time to figure out what... Oh, let's say, hang on a second. I know there was one... Oh, there it goes. It updated. Just had to be... It was just queued. All right. Now, hopefully, Plex has done processing so far what it has. Let me see. What one did not... Oh, Electric Dreams did not have a cover, I don't think. Or did it? Ah, here we go. Electric Dreams. Actually, I think this one did have a cover. Dang it. All right, perfect. So little changes along the way, just to personally make me happy. All right, so we've got a pretty nice set here. I haven't seen anything pop up down here in a while, so I think it's pretty much done processing. Here's another one that I need to touch up a little bit. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. We got a poster here? We do. Excellent. Oh, hey, we can get the Spanish version. There we go. Perfect. As you can see, there was no wait time. Okay, Hudson Hawk. Let's see. I think this is one that doesn't have a poster that I like. I like the one with him swinging. All right, so I'm going to pop open a new browser window. And I'm going to search for Hudson Hawk poster. Go to images. Yeah, see, I like this one. I like this older one. Let me get a nice high-quality cover copy. Oh, I want Silence of the Lambs with it. It's got a watermark. Well, shucky darn. There's got to be one in here somewhere. That's pretty high quality. Let's see. Well, for the sake of argument. Let's see. Wait a minute. Here we go. Small. Yeah, I don't want it like in another language, though. No German. Let's see what else I got here. Come on, there's got to be one that's a decent size. I could go with an editor and clip that out, but... Alright, fine. We'll just grab this one. No, I don't want that one. All of a sudden, I'm picky. Alright, fine. We'll get this one. So we'll view the image. We'll get the link. We'll copy it. Jump back to Plex. Go to Poster. Enter URL. Hit Enter. Boom. All right, the artwork was updated. There it is, and bang! I have a brand new Bruce Willis Hudson Hawk. Where'd it go? Everything. There it is. Perfect. Exactly. That's just what I want. So you could go in here, change up your covers, do it. Oh, Langoliers. That's terrible. Give me the old one. Where's my old Langoliers cover? It's a terrible last. Is that the right of last American Virgin? I don't remember. Let me see here. Ah, see, this is the Langoliers I like. The original theatrical poster. All right, so we could sit here and be anal all day long and sit here and change, but you get the idea. Now that we're done on the PC, we've added everything, and you could go through, and now that we're done here, I'm going to go ahead and go back into old movies, and I'm going to hit Update Library so it can pick up anything that it might have missed. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and go back to the Shield and see what your new Plex server looks like now that you've tidied it up. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Let's take a look at what our new Plex server looks like running directly from our Shield TV via the Plex app. Select our user. Alright, well now this looks a whole lot better than the way we left it. Alright, so now we see our movies with the nice little covers, scrolling, right? We can also look at our different libraries. We can go to old movies, right? Browse by title, right? Looks pretty good, right? You can go over here and jump down, say to the P's. Pretty cool. You go into one of the films, it'll give you some more information. You can access the trailer, some related type movies, more in comedy, more with Christy McNichol. So actually that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty full service media server. It's totally amazing. So anyway, that is what Plex looks like once you're all done. You've done all your work, you've set it up, everything looks fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this look at the over-the-air update for Shield Android TV version 3.2. This is Shane R. Monroe. Visit us at NvidiaShieldZone.com. Thanks for watching.